Do you ever struggle to ride and train consistently? Let me tell you, one of the things that I see over and over for my clients and also for myself is that it can be really challenging to train consistently, to be consistent, and you have to be consistent to get results as a rider. So, in today's podcast, I'm going to share with you my top 3 tips for how to be consistent and get results as a writer, even with a full-time job, even with the demands of life. So, if this is you, grab your coffee, grab your cocoa, whatever, sit down, grab your pitchfork if you're mucking out stalls, and let me share with you my top 3 tips for how to be consistent to get results as a writer, and then send this over to your bestie. Let's jump in.
Welcome to the Resilient Rainer, the premier podcast focused on mental performance for equestrians and improved horse show performance. Whether you're a rookie reiner or a seasoned competitor, this show is for riders who want to take their skills to the next level and achieve their full potential in the show ring. I'm Nicole Burnett, and I'm a master mindset coach who's obsessed with helping you achieve all those horse dreams you always thought were impossible. Join me each week to develop a show-ready mindset and gain the competitive edge you need to compete with confidence.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Nicole Burnett. Welcome back to another episode of the Resilient Rainer podcast. So, one of the things that I know I can personally feel is that it can feel like I'm just running around and I'm in the circus, and I might not be running around in a funny clown suit, but life can be a juggling act. Okay. For me, between running a business, raising a family, and keeping multiple horses in work, I've learned that finding time for consistent rides, it's not an easy feat. But I've discovered a few strategies that help me stay in the saddle without sacrificing my sanity or sleep. Because the other thing I've learned is that sacrificing sleep, it never pays off. It always bites me in the butt. So here are my best tips for squeezing in consistent rides, even when life outside the barn gets hectic. So tip number 1, plan your rides. I like to take a few minutes each Sunday, each weekend to map out my week. And I'll decide what each horse needs to work on based on our goals and any upcoming events. So let me give you an example. I might plan to ride on Monday, and we're going to focus on transitions and lead departures. Tuesday, I'm not going to ride. I have a lot of kids stuff, a lot of driving, family things. And Wednesday, I might plan on a low-key hack or lunging for conditioning. And let's say on Saturday, I might earmark for working on spins or lateral work. By knowing exactly what I want to achieve each day, I can then make the most of my time when I'm in the saddle. And the other thing to remember is that you don't need to reinvent the wheel every ride. Sometimes just sticking to the basics can be the most effective approach. And another big shift has been, don't try to school each maneuver every time you ride. It is really empowering, and you get so much more when you really dial in on today is lead change day, or today we're working on our spins. But instead of trying to work on everything and improve everything every ride, that gets out of control real fast. Tip number 2, embrace shorter rides. Now, I know that I grew up always riding for an hour, whether I was in a lesson or on my own. So this was a massive shift for me to ride for shorter rides. And it took me a long time to learn how to ride effectively in a shorter period of time. But trust me that shorter rides can be a game changer, especially on busy weekdays. Not every ride needs to be an hour. And so I feel like I should say that again for the folks in the back, or at least for past me, which is that not every ride needs to be an hour. Sure, ride for an hour in lessons, ride for an hour on the weekends, but during the middle of the week, when you are squeezing this in between family and work, you can get a lot done in 20, 30-minute rides. So embrace 20 to 30-minute rides during the week. And you don't need to feel guilty if you only ride 20 or 30 minutes. Those quick sessions, they can be incredibly productive. I know that I found that shorter, focused rides, they often lead to better progress because they prevent both the horse and the rider from getting tired, from getting frustrated. And this is a big one. They help you maintain consistency, which is really key to building skills and building confidence for both horse and rider. So remember, this is all about this stuff with horses and training. This is all about progress, not perfection. A quality 20-minute ride where you make some progress, you get your horse a little softer, you make a little bit of improvement in their spin, or you just get them some conditioning and getting them a little more legged up, building up those tendons and ligaments. That is fabulous because a quality 20-minute ride where you make some progress is way better than the hour ride that you didn't do when you don't get in the saddle at all. So, plus a quick focused ride during the week, it can set the stage for a longer, more intensive session on the weekend. It can be a really great touch point on where is my horse at in all these different maneuvers and things that we're training. So, learn from my mistakes. Short, consistent rides will get you farther than infrequent marathon sessions. And tip number 3, use mental rehearsal. There are days when getting to the barn just isn't possible. It can be due to bad weather, a packed schedule, or life just throws you a curveball. And that is where mental rehearsal comes in. Visualization is a powerful, proven technique that many athletes, top athletes, use to stay sharp, stay focused, even when they can't physically train. So on those no ride days, I can close my eyes and run through my ride in my mind. I visualize every detail from tacking up to executing perfect transitions. This practice has helped me and my clients build muscle memory, reinforce positive habits, and mentally prepare yourself for success so that you're ready to perform at your best and ride your best the next time you're in the saddle. It's made a noticeable difference, and I hear time and time again that after using mental rehearsal, the next time a client gets in the saddle, they feel more prepared, they feel more confident. It's as if they've already practiced the movements because you did in your mind. It's like giving yourself a bonus ride all from the comfort of your home. Balancing riding with the rest of life's demands, it can be really tough. But with a little planning, a little flexibility and creativity, it's entirely possible to stay consistent in the saddle. Remember, it's about finding what works best for you and for your horse and sticking with it. It's not about being perfect, which we're absolutely putting in air quotes. It's about showing up consistently, even if it's just for a short ride or a few minutes of visualization. I know one of the things that I have really come to treasure is that I plan a weekly walk only ride where it might be short, 15 to 30 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, but it's a walk only ride. And I focus exclusively on things we can do at the walk, being soft. What can I do with my legs, my seat, my hand, and just really checking in. And every little bit adds up. So if you have your own tips or strategies that you use to stay on track, let me know. If you're watching, leave them in the comments because you can help other people by sharing what you do to stay consistent. I love to hear them. Let's keep that conversation going. Thank you so much for being here. If you're listening to this podcast, I truly appreciate you for spending your time here to improve yourself, improve your mind. and create better rides and a better relationship with your horse. If you've gotten something out of this podcast, please go ahead, go into the iTunes store, hit 5 stars, and please leave a review. It really helps me to know that this is making an impact on you and your horse, and it helps me to reach more people with this message. And if you're lacking confidence in the saddle or out, don't forget I have a free masterclass all about what you need to do to build your confidence, and you can grab the link in the show notes. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, and oh my gosh, I almost forgot, for all of my podcast listeners, you guys are my favorite. This podcast is really my favorite way to connect with all of you. I've been doing 2 episodes a week for about a year now, and it's a pretty grueling production schedule on top of everything else with the business and that I have going on. So I am going to be doing a weekly podcast for the next little while, and then I'll reevaluate and see how it's going. But I just want you to know that the podcast is still going strong. I love connecting with you guys in this way, but I'll just be doing weekly episodes for a while instead of twice a week. But I have a great back catalog. If you are a new listener, I'm so glad you're here. And there's still lots of great content coming up. I have such a long list of episodes of things that I'm excited to talk about, things that you guys have requested, and things that have come up in my private coaching and private programs that I really just feel called to share and talk about on the podcast, to bring those things to a wider audience and bring it to you. So I'm really excited for all the upcoming episodes. There's so much great stuff coming. I'm so glad you're here. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, I do have a couple slots opening up here in the fall. So just send me an email, Nicole@resilientrainer.com, and I'll send you an application and we can talk about if it's a good fit for you. Thank you so much for being here. Happy trails, friend.